Hello, welcome to Salt City Knits. I'm Emily, and this is a podcast about my knitting and designing and making. And today is a date. What is today? June 7th, and this is episode 11. And I've had a very eventful time since I last recorded, and so I'm really excited to share some details with you. But first of all, you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Salt City Knits. And you can find my patterns on Ravelry and also at yarnbrary.com. And all that information is below in the description box. So I'm excited to be here with you today. I have 4 finished objects, no works in progress, weirdly enough. Lots of dream knitting and ideas, but I haven't started anything new. And I have some great news about my family, and then I'll have some pattern news at the end. So first off, our family gained a new member a little over, well, let's see, exactly a week ago today. Oh my goodness. My daughter Aria had her baby, and his name is Adam, and he is the cutest little tiny redhead. She had had complications during her pregnancy and needed to be induced early, and so he was born at 34 weeks. He is currently still in the NICU, but he's doing really well and just needing to learn how to eat and grow and just get bigger so that he can come home and be at home. And we just love this little peanut already. He is so sweet. And yeah, we love his red hair, which doesn't show up as well in pictures as it does in person, I'll just say. But he's just the sweetest thing. So yes, I am a grandma now. I'm going by Grammy. Hopefully we'll see how that, I always think it's fun. You can pick your grandma name, but it doesn't mean it's gonna last. Because as soon as that baby starts talking, they basically pick your grandma name, don't you think? So yes, it's just been super, super, super busy and kind of hectic over the last couple of weeks as I've been at the hospital almost every day and just trying to help my cute daughter Aria and her husband and their baby settling in, or just, being well and needing some extra love and care, which is the best thing that I can do. And I love it. I'm glad to do it. So that has been really busy. Also, we have, in our faith, we have a series of classes that our teenagers take that they do along with their high school years. It's called seminary. It's not like a traditional seminary that would be at a college level. This is at a high school level. And my son Isaac, he's my 3rd child. He just graduated from that. He would have been graduating from high school. He graduated a year early from high school, and so he just graduated from that and also completed his first. He completed a semester of a college prep and mixed with college kind of classes, and so he's been working hard. But we're so proud of him. And my daughter, Abby, my youngest, she completed her first year of seminary. And so that was also exciting. And we're so proud of them and all the great things they're doing. It's crazy to think that 3 of my 4 kids are adults now. I put that in quotations. I figure once you're living on your own and self-supporting, and more transitioned out of the house, yeah, that's more, we'll call them an adult in training. How about that? But yeah, it's just, it goes so fast. So anyway, that's basically what's been going on here, and that is a lot. So let's talk about my finished objects, and I'm going to start with this one. I've been so excited to share, let me grab the right end, to share this new design with you. This wrap is going to be called Ochre, and that is based on the Ochre Mountains, not the color ochre, but Ochre Sunset. And it is a long wrap. I like this color change right there where it goes from pink with purple to purple with pink. Actually looks pretty blue in the, it's a bluish purple. And then to the other end. It's a really fun and engaging pattern that involves a very simple lace that gives it these great ripples mixed with stripes that alternate. It's hard to tell right now, but the ends are opposite from each other. So this end starts with a pink border and then has the purple, the pink, the purple. Then it has the purple lace with the pink stripes. This one does the opposite. It's got the purple border, then pink, purple, pink, with the pink lace and the purple stripes. And then it just kind of blends and you graft it in the middle. So it's really a fun one. This was knit in 3 skeins of Yarnaceous Fibers, and the colors were Great Salt Lake, which is our big lake, right, local to us, where I am coming from. I'm recording in Salt Lake City, Utah. This color is called Morganite, and then this one is called Fog, and it's kind of a grayish purpley blue. It's more purple in life than it's showing up, I think, on the screen. I picked these colors up at the Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair from Maggie, who is the dyer of Yarnaceous Fibers. She is here in Utah and just lives on the other side of the Ochre Mountains from me. So Salt Lake City and the Salt Lake Valley lay between the Wasatch Mountains to the east and the Ochre Mountains to the west. And that's the main, the most highly populated area in Utah, and the capital of Utah, Salt Lake City. And so we just have mountains, and those are not the only 2 mountain ranges in Utah. We also have the Uintas and some others, but those are the 2 that kind of frame my valley. So when I walk outside, I can see both sets of mountains from my house. And the Ochre Mountains are older mountains than the Wasatch. Wasatch Mountains are very peaky and craggy and sharp and tall. And the Ochre Mountains are more gentle and softer because they've eroded more over time. And so I really liked that idea. And since they lie to the west of me, I see my sunsets, all my sunsets every day over the ochres. So anyway, that is my new design. It does use 3 100-gram skeins of yarn, and Maggie's base is 437, I believe, yards to 100 grams. And I used most of that yarn. So it's definitely one that if your yardage is less per 100 grams, or if you had a different gauge, you might want to get more yarn. So of the pink and the purple, I had about 5 grams each left, and I had about 10 grams of this multicolor, the main color. So the lace stripes, this color is called the main color, and then these are contrast colors 1 and 2. And that pattern is going to be available for testing probably here in the next 2 weeks. Next time I record, I will be putting out a testing call for this pattern. But I just really love how it has turned out. And I've loved working with these yarns. It's just so beautiful. Look at that. It's just so drapey and lovely. Trying to think about what else I should say about that. I love the eyelets along the little border here, and all the delineations. I like that there's some stockinette and some garter stitch in there. Yeah. So again, you cast on, you need 2 sets of needles. You cast, at least that's how I did it. You really do. You have to have 2 sets of needles, yeah. I cast on one edge, worked to the middle, and then I just left it on those needles. And then you actually need 3 needles. Then I cast on the second half and knit to the middle. And then you only need 2 needles. I considered doing a 3 needle bind off, but I grafted it. So you need your 2 sets of knitting needles. And then I just did a Kitchener stitch right down the middle, and that is where it joins in that spot. So yeah, that's the Ochre Sunset wrap. And I'm really excited to get that one into testing and get that one out into the world. It's so pretty. And you can tell I have kind of a color theme when I show you my next finished object. Look at this. They just totally coordinate together. That was not an intentional thing. These socks are my Aria socks, although I did tweak them. So the traditional Aria sock pattern has this lace around the entire leg. And I chose to just do it along the front like I would down at the foot. So the pattern has you just doing the lace on the top of the foot and not on the sole of the foot. And so I just did that through the whole thing. I also increased the length of the cuff by 5 rounds. I did a 25 round cuff instead of a 20 round, which my typical is a 20 round cuff, but I just wanted a taller one. And yeah, so that is the Aria Socks pattern. One of the things I like about this, currently the Aria Socks pattern is only, and it's going to stay that way. It's only in a 64 stitch count because of the fact that this lace, that's just how it works. And I did not want to design, 4 different lace patterns. But you could totally hack this pattern and make it as many stitches wider or smaller, I guess, if you wanted the lace to wrap, by using the stockinette on the back of the leg and just changing the stitch counts there. That means it wouldn't, let's see if I can explain that. That means that if I were to knit, let's say a 72 stitch sock, that since this is 32 stitches wide, I would need to add 2 stitches of stockinette on either side of the lace pattern for the front. Does that make sense? And then the whole back would be lace. And if I were going to do like a 60 stitch sock, then I would need to start my lace pattern 1 stitch early and end it 1 stitch after. So basically your back of your sock would be stockinette, except for 1 stitch on either side would also be in the lace pattern. Hopefully I explained that well. But those are the Aria socks. And this yarn I have been drooling over, and I finally got my hands on it, and it's a new Malabrigo colorway that I absolutely think is stunning, and it is called Rosalinda. And I think that was new this year. It may have been last year and I just only saw it this year, but I think it was a new colorway this year. And this is in the Malabrigo Ultimate Sock. I don't knit socks in Malabrigo Sock. It doesn't have any nylon in it. I have knit 1 pair and they wore out within weeks of, wearing them, just because they needed that nylon. Plus Malabrigo tends to be a little extra soft, which, that's great, just isn't great for hard wearing socks. So, but the Ultimate Sock does have nylon. It's a 75-25 merino nylon blend. So, isn't that pretty though? I love how that matched up with the Aria pattern, the color in that pattern. You definitely can see the color kind of pooling. I don't mind that, especially because in person it's not as high contrast. That's one thing you'll hear a lot from people that as they're taking photos and recording videos with their knitting, that just on video things are higher contrast on camera. So they don't look quite as stripy, you know, in person as they do on camera. But I think it turned out beautiful. And it was fun to knit these while my daughter Aria, who they're named after, was in the hospital and expecting her baby. I would think about her and pray for her when I was working on them and take them to the hospital with me. I worked on them sitting in her room with her and different things like that. So yes, there are the Aria socks. And I think these will probably be a gift for her. She will love them. So I think I will save these for maybe Christmas or maybe just when she needs a gift. So there you go. Those were really fun. And because I knit them, I also knit them longer in the leg. So the pattern calls for 1 pattern repeat down the leg. I did 1.5, just because I wanted a longer leg. And because of that longer length and the fact that I knit them for a women's size, US women's size 11 shoe, they used up all the yarn except for this much. There's just around 20 grams. So I used about 80 grams of yarn for that. But that's the rest of that Rosalinda. And it's so pretty. I don't think the peachy color is showing up quite as much. It's looking more just the pinks and purples. Of course, as in all small batch dyed yarns, there's variation between skeins. And I have seen pictures of some Rosalinda that has quite a bit of peach, almost a yellowy peach in it as well. But just such a pretty color. Oh, just thought that was gorgeous. So those are 2 of my finished objects. All right, next up I have 2 baby knits. These are not for my grandbaby. These are for my sister's new grandbaby that's coming. My niece is having a little boy, and I've mentioned this before. She and my daughter were actually due on the same day. But our little guy decided, well, he didn't decide. He needed to come early. But we have a baby shower coming up this weekend for her, which I'm really excited. So I finished these yesterday, these little overalls. They're so cute. Look at that. I always love seeing the rise in babies' clothing because they have to go over diaper bums. So it's extra long. Oh my goodness. So these little overalls, this is called the Lukas Autumn Romper, and the pattern is by Karin. What is it? Karin Lundin. And I will link it below. And that is, it's a DK weight. It is a paid for pattern. It was a quick knit. I knit it in 3 days. I can't say that the pattern is, if you're an experienced knitter, you won't have any problems. But if you're a beginning knitter, it was not clear how to do your increases while maintaining this textured pattern on the leg. And there were a few different places where it just kind of makes some assumptions of your knowledge about how to increase, and I don't know. It was not written for a beginning knitter, I'll just say. But it was a very easy pattern. I will knit it again. Definitely will knit these again. My daughter says she thinks it looks like a little frog face, which I think so too. With the eyes. I used the yarn that I used. Let me pull that out. This was a Hobby Lobby acrylic yarn. This is what I have left, although I did knit 2 things, and I'll show you the other thing. This is Baby Bee Sweet Delight. Oh, I'm dropping things. So Baby Bee Sweet Delight in Green Light is the color. It's the soft sagey green. And it's 60% acrylic and 40% polyamide. It's 4 ounces, so that means 115 grams, 377 yards. So I think it's kind of between a DK and a sport weight. I looked up online because, you know, a lot of budget yarns, they don't really give you like worsted DK fingering. They tell you like, this is a size 4 or whatever. This one doesn't even do that. Yeah, it just tells you what the gauge is and like the recommended needle size, what the gauge would be with that recommended needle. Oh, it says size 3 light. That's right. Which I believe is DK. But anyway, I looked it up on Ravelry to see if it was listed there. It was listed as a DK. I did a wraps per inch test. It came out as a sport. So I'm going to basically say it's a light DK. But it worked well. I used the recommended needle size in the pattern and the gauge seemed to be correct. So I think we're still calling it DK. But it turned out great. And what I'm really impressed with, it's super soft. It actually has some good bounce to it. Some acrylics are stiff and don't have any spring really to them. This one has a nice good spring. It blocked really nicely with steam. I did not wet block it. I steam blocked it and it blocked really nicely. And so I'm just really proud. I'm really happy with the results. I hope that it will be good proportions. I always worry about proportions with baby knits. It's really hard to kind of judge. So hopefully it will be. And then in addition to that, I had quite a bit of yarn left and I was also at an appointment. I was waiting with my husband while he was having, poor guy, he was having a 5.5-hour dental appointment to get some crowns figured out. It was miserable for him. But I hung out with him and was waiting with him and I finished those. And then I was sitting there in the waiting room with no knitting. I still had yarn and I still had needles. So I found this little hat pattern and I made this and it's so cute. And this one is called the Tegan baby hat with top knot. And so the pattern was written to knit it flat and seam it. I just knit it in the round. I actually didn't even notice that it said to knit it flat. Like for a long time, I didn't even notice that. And so I'm like, it's a hat, you knit it in the round, right? So I was working it on magic loop and, it wasn't until I got up to this little thing and all of a sudden it's telling me to purl. And I'm like, why would I be purling? That's not in the picture. Anyway, so I kind of just did my own thing. But anyway, I knit it in the round and I think it turned out so cute. I love that little knot on the top. This is by Julie Taylor. I will also put that link below. So this will be the little gift for my new grandnephew, yeah, I think he's my grandnephew and I will be his great aunt. How am I that old? It's different to be a grandma than it is to be a great aunt. I don't know why, it really isn't. Anyway, so that little set. Yeah, those are my finished objects. I really honestly can't believe I got that much finished over the past 2 weeks. It's been absolutely crazy around here. And I think a lot of it is just, I've had a lot of time sitting at like the hospital and stuff. So I brought stuff with me to work on. Yeah, at the hospital, at the dentist. When you have waiting room time, it just works out that way, doesn't it? So that is all of my finished objects. And now I get to cast on something new and the possibilities are endless, but most likely I am casting on something for Adam and I'm also casting on a new design. I just need to kind of fine tune what I am going to begin. So those will probably be my next 2 cast-ons. I'll probably cast on another pair of socks as well. So I'm going to cast on 3 things hopefully soon. That'll be fun. And I still have some crochet projects I'm working on, but I haven't touched those. For some reason, crochet, I know this is ridiculous. It's just a mental thing, but it doesn't feel as portable to me as knitting does. I don't know why that is. It really is portable. It's just as portable. I think part of it is I have to watch my crochet the whole time. Other people are opposite. My friend Wendy, she has to watch her knitting, but she can crochet like a granny, like she does like the granny square blankets, you know, and she can do that in the movies. I can't do that. I have to look at my project when I'm crocheting. And so I think if I'm going to be conversing with somebody or watching a movie or I don't know, just like, you know, at church or something, I tend to take knitting because I can do so much of it without looking at it. It just, I can, you know, muscle memory do it. Anyway, so I don't tend to take that with me as much, which is probably why those things haven't made any progress. But my last thing that I wanted to talk about was some pattern news. So I don't remember, I think I mentioned this on my last recording. I'm pretty sure I did, but I know I did mention it online, like on Instagram, that I have reduced the price of all of my sock patterns. And those have been flying out the door. And I'm so grateful for everybody who has picked up either the Francis socks or the True North socks or Aria or Fizz or Gathering Shells, any of the sock patterns. That has been really lovely to see those getting so much love. Thank you so much. And Dixie Creek released last, was it Friday? It was last Friday. I released that pattern, and thank you so much to all of those who purchased that pattern. And also I have to just say thank you to test knitters. I absolutely love working with test knitters. I love their insights. There are so many times where I will hear back from a test knitter and they'll say, this probably isn't a big deal, but it might be easier if, and I think those are such great notes to get, because as a pattern designer, the number one thing you want to do is make it easier to follow your pattern. I mean, obviously you want your pattern to be just correct in general, but you love it. It's really nice to get a pattern that you don't have to question things. You can just follow right through it. And so, you know, I always want to improve that. And anyway, so that's lovely. So yes, I just wanted to thank everybody that's purchased a pattern from me lately. It's been really, really helpful. I'll just tell you, this year, this is not necessarily related other than this a little vent. This year so far, we have paid, I'll just say tens of thousands of dollars for dental work. Our furnace died and we had to replace that. We had to get new windows in our house. So it has been an extremely pricey 2023 so far, and we are not halfway done yet. Oh my goodness. So every little bit is so appreciated. Anyway, yeah. Well, I think that's everything for me today. I don't have a book recommendation. I did just finish a book, but I don't know that I would recommend it. I'll just tell you what it was, and maybe you guys can tell me what you think about it if you've read it. I just finished the book called Local Woman Missing, and I will have to put the author down below. And yeah, it was kind of I know it's a super popular book, and there were things about it I really enjoyed. It definitely kept me thinking. I mostly listened to it when I was driving to and from the hospital. So maybe a part of it is just the mood that I was in, because one of the main characters is a doula and talks about a traumatic birth in the book. And I was at the same time supporting my daughter who was in the hospital and then giving birth. And so I think that was probably part of why I just didn't love it. I felt a little traumatized by that book. But the mystery was very, very interesting. It has a very interesting twist. And I would definitely say the last third of it was really compelling. And so anyway, I didn't love the language. I really prefer to not have swearing or, much swearing in the books that I listen to or read, but it's hard to find anything that way. So, that wasn't the main thing that I didn't love about it. It was more about just that it was a little traumatic for me. But I did just finish that book, so I can at least mention that one. Hopefully I am like between books. I have to go back and look through the book recommendations you guys have given me in the past. And if you have anything else, please comment it below, because I definitely need something new to read. I like something really good in sci-fi, like something really compelling sci-fi, especially. That sounds excellent. Or just a really compelling mystery. Yeah, so something like that would be awesome. Anyway, that is all for me today, and I will be back in a couple of weeks and hopefully be putting out a testing call for the Ochre Sunset wrap. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great time with your making, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.